365 Pulse with Jennifer Ann Mason and Mark Rackley. My name is Dan Holm. I'm the co-founder of IT Unity, and on behalf of everyone at IT Unity, I'd like to welcome you to our online event space here at Unity Vision. This week, as always, Jennifer Ann is going to catch us up with all of the latest news in Office 365. There's been some doozies of announcements. And this week she's joined by Mark Rackley. All three of us just returned from Austin, Texas, where last week we were at SP TechCon, so I'm sure they'll have some news on those fronts as well. And as we go into the event, you will have the opportunity to continue using the open chat module to chat. And if you have any questions, you can pose them using the question and answers module. So with no further ado, let me hand the reins over to Jennifer and Mark.
Hey everybody, let me just start my webcam here. It is good to be with you guys today. So we are super excited to just kind of share the latest news and updates with you this week. I have got Mark Rackley, who should be hopping on with the camera at any point in time. Mark Rackley is one of my favorite people in the SharePoint community, and might I just add that one of the reasons he's my favorite person in the community is that I love to give him crap. So if anything's going on, I like to pick on Mark. Mark kind of picks back like a big brother. So it ends up being quite a bit of fun whenever Mark is around. Also, if you're ever in a group with Mark, it is not hard to get the entire group to start picking on Mark, which just makes for a tremendously enjoyable evening. So one of my favorite people, but what makes it so fun is that he's so awesome when it comes to SharePoint. So we just love, I just love having him around. So any chance I get to be with Mark, he's also known as the SharePoint Hillbilly, and he is the resident bacon lover in the SharePoint community. So with that, welcome Mark to the show.
Thank you. I mean, it's not my good looks that keep everybody around. I thought I was just my charm and good looks that did it.
It is. But you're just so easy to pick at, and I just love that, because that means they're not picking on me if they're picking on you. So this just kind of works really well. I've known Mark for several years now. Yeah, we do. I've known Mark for several years now. He is kind of the pot stirrer. So if you watch his blog, he's always stirring up something to get comments. Although that in the last 6 or 7 months, that has really, you haven't been stirring the pot as much, Mark.
I figured I'd try being productive for once and see how that works out for me. I think I'm going to go back to pot stirring. It's more fun.
It kind of is more fun. It gives us more ammunition. So you guys should all be seeing, I know, you guys should all be seeing the sway on your screen right now. I put a link in the chat window. As always, if you have any questions for Mark and I as we go, feel free to put them in the presenter chat window, and we will try our best to get those questions answered as quickly and as efficiently as we can. So kind of jumping through, we can start with Message Center updates. So interesting, there's a lot of stuff that has been happening, Mark, in the trust space this week. So I kind of feel like Microsoft has had a really low-key entry into some really rock-solid, amazing things that they're doing in terms of compliance and security and different things like that. And we've got some announcements as we go down about some changes that they've made with certifications and different things like that they got. But when I popped into the Message Center this week, I got a notification that the vendor list was changing of what vendors actually had access to my content in Office 365. So I thought that was pretty interesting that they listed all of that out. And pretty telling that you could go and see, okay, here are all of the different subcontractors that we're working at a large scale for managing Office 365. So you have any thoughts on that, Mark, about all of the major trust things that are coming out this week? Or is this just like one small tip of the iceberg of what's coming? Or
I thought we were going to talk about bacon. I didn't know that we were talking about actual content and stuff.
Aww. Just bacon?
Yeah, it's these changes have been coming so quickly, right? I mean, they just keep adding more and more and more and more stuff like this, and it's great because now it's giving you a lot more visibility, but then it goes into the fact that they're going to change every UI and every blog post is going to become outdated, and we kind of get lost in the shuffle again about what's going on and how do we do things. So, being the naysayer of it, I think it's great they're making all these
No
changes, but on
kidding.
the other side, it's impossible to stay on top of it.
Yeah, just
Yeah.
preparing for this Pulse today, and I've been preparing it for the last couple of days for all the updates from the last time that we did the Pulse, and 3 different times when I went in to look at Office blogs, there was new content. And I was like, the rate at which these changes are coming is the most amazing rate that I've ever seen. And I remember when we were begging Microsoft to give us information, and now I'm kind of like, could you please just give it to me in one spot, not 82? So I thought that one was
Right, and yeah,
kind of interesting.
well, it changes a
So
blog post I did a couple of weeks ago is now totally different, and now there's usually like 5 ways to do the same thing too, so it's like, well, when you're trying to explain things to people, it makes it that much more difficult.
yeah,
I'm stirring the pot.
yeah. I also did I did a session at I did a session at SP TechCon, and it was a full day session on getting started with 101 solutions inside of SharePoint and SharePoint Online. And every single person in the audience, I think, had a different flavor of SharePoint, and it's now starting to become different across all of them. So it was very, very, very interesting to see all of the changes and all of the pieces, and then it was exhausting as a presenter trying to catch up and answer all of the questions and make sure that people were still getting a lot out of the session. But hey, I mean, that's kind of the whole reason for the show. Like, I wanted to be able to stay on top of the changes, and so being able to share that with everybody. So it's kind of the whole purpose of being able to do the show is to kind of show the changes that are coming and try to keep everybody up to date. I feel like this week the changes, there were a couple of major ones that were kind of underplayed, and then there was just a lot of noise of changes that were there that it was like, oh, that's pretty cool. Not totally sure how that would impact my life, but it's pretty cool, good to know about. So I think as we keep going back through those changes, it's one of those weeks that it's been like, oh, okay. And then they hit with some other big ones like the one from this morning, and we're going to jump into that. We're kind of like rabbit trailing. You're causing me to go on a rabbit trail, Mark.
It's one of my other gifts I have, so sorry.
You are. You're pretty good at that. I love it. So the other change that this one could catch you completely off guard, I think, and I'm wondering if anyone in our audience has run into this one. And I guess it's when you made, there was an update that could be made to your web servers that were hosting your DNS, which could totally trip up being able to connect to Exchange, which is crazy. I love how they write this, and it's a very soft, like some users are unable to connect to Exchange online via the Outlook client, but don't worry about it. Just disable stuff and different things like that. And it's like, if you can't connect to Exchange, I'm pretty sure that's like a fire drill in any company. So I thought that one was interesting. If anybody ran into that one, hit up in the chat window and let us know. But I wonder how long it took them to, yeah, a feature. I wonder how long it took them to figure this one out. Like, somebody probably couldn't access something, and then it's coming through, and you check it with Office 365, and you get through, oh, well, everything's good on our end, so then what is it on your end? And then I wonder how many calls like that they had to actually get before they realized, oh, hey, there's actually really an issue.
Right. Yeah, because they go through all those calls all day with just the random stuff and the people who don't know what's going on. So they have to filter through all those to find out there actually is a problem. So yeah, it was...
Yeah. And then get it posted. So I thought that one was interesting. So I am sure that is a fun one to track down when you cannot Yeah, when you can't, nothing's really wrong with Office 365, but you can't connect to it. So these are all some of the new issues that we get to face as we are, moving to the cloud. So it's just one of those things that make things different. So those are our two big updates this week to the Message Center. Nothing too drastic. I mean, but they hit us with the public sites like a week and a half ago. So maybe they're just
Right.
spreading out the drastic amounts of hits that they're getting us. So, all good things there. So moving on, the next bucket of things that we're going to talk about is the new features and updates, which is kind of cool for some things, and other things are like, okay, that's pretty cool, but I don't know what I would do if I was in public and saw someone using Yammer on their wearable device. I think I would laugh at them. Is that like wrong for me to say? Just like I would
Or would
laugh
you
at
laugh at them
somebody
for
if they
using
picked up
Yammer
their
in
phone in
general?
public.
Okay.
Well, I don't know. I can see people using Yammer, but that's our first big announcement today is that they had Yammer mobile updates. So all of these updates are for iOS and for Android. No updates for the Windows platforms. So I'm a huge Windows Phone user, and everyone that knows me knows that I've had like a Windows Phone when they were really painful, all the way up until they got, a little bit cool. And I am sitting here, and another app came out today that's just iOS and Android, and I think there's hopes of
Yeah.
what's coming with Windows Phone 10, but it's very telling, and I might be getting an iPhone. I'm
Well,
lost.
I'm
What phone do
wondering.
you use, Mark?
I have an Android phone, and with all these acquisitions for all these iOS apps and everything they were doing, they're bringing Office to Android. I wonder if what kind of future Windows Phone has. I mean, they're investing all this effort into acquiring iOS apps, and they're pushing those features. I mean, that's they're not investing a whole lot in Windows Phone, which is kind of interesting. I mean, I don't have any
Right, but
site
is it a
insight there,
timing
but
thing? Yeah, we don't have
I don't
any insight.
know.
This is Mark and Jen just spitting off comments.
Oh yeah, oh yeah. I have no
Yeah.
authority whatsoever.
I love my Windows
But
Phone.
yeah,
Yeah, I love my Windows
I would
Phone.
like to. I mean, I got a band,
I
and I
just don't
really
like
like it,
the
and I
app.
wish I could get a Windows phone so I could use it. But it's Windows
Well,
Phone,
you could do
right?
everything with your
It's
band but talk to Cortana, right?
well, I can't respond at all on the band, so I can use it to consume information but not respond at all. So I wish I could. There's more features in the Windows Phone app for sure. I mean, my joke about Yammer was not meant to be mean about Yammer. I like Yammer, by the way. Just a easy joke. Oh, absolutely. But we make fun of them for everything, so that's just something easier to make fun of them for, right? It's young. It's young. Its implementation. They're coming along. I mean, I didn't like the wearables until the band came out, and I really really like it. So I think that it's starting to come into the wearable market has a definite future. So just keep an open mind, okay? So in order for a wearable device to be useful, you actually have to wear it. That's the name wearable, right? It's not. No, not at all. I, yeah, right. I mean, because you've been able to do OCR. Sorry. Yeah, because you've been able to do OCR in OneNote on images, forever, right? You can right click on the image and do OCR on it. So it's just an easier way to get it in there, I guess, for Windows Phone. And I think it is magic. No, no, not really. Yeah, I don't have anything to add there. Sorry. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. I definitely defer to John for all my VI stuff. I think it's definitely a good sign for the way things are moving, and like you said, it's going to make it possible to move more people to the cloud. Because I know when you respond to a lot of RFPs, sometimes they've got these requirements they have to meet. You have to meet these compliance requirements, and if you have to say you can't do it, then it's just it's a dead deal at that point. You cannot go to the cloud. So as they continue to improve upon these, you do open up your world a lot more to these organizations that are not out there yet. So yeah, it's good stuff. Yeah. Yeah, and Google will never go for this, so they're not going to go there. They want your data, so yeah. What's the reason not for people to go to Microsoft is because they've proven that they care about your security and your data. So this just goes along those lines to show that they actually mean it. Right. Absolutely. Right. Well, it hurts the naysayers. What are they going to complain about now, right? Well, to be fair, there's still a lot there to complain about, but this is one of the others to go. So absolutely. Can I? Oh no, I. Are you kidding? I want to actually get work done. If I didn't have to get work done, maybe. I just upgraded to 8.1 yesterday, actually, by accident. If you saw my Facebook post, it's like, oh, I didn't mean to hit the update button, and now I've got 8.1. Because and it's a free upgrade from 8 to 8.1, and I guess I must have clicked something to say, okay, go ahead and download it, and it installed it, and yeah, if anybody can do it, I can do it. You should try it sometime. It's. I'll wait till I get a HoloLens, and then I'll get one. Okay. Yeah, and then I'll get Windows 10. I I will never have to leave the house at some point.
Interesting. That's one of the few. So everybody likes Yammer, we have to say it, but it is funny. But still, Mark, if we were sitting at a conference and somebody like went, "Oh, excuse me, I have to respond to this Yammer post on my watch," um, what would we do? I mean, we'd make fun of them. I mean, that's kind of the gist of it. Yeah, yeah. Yeah, it does look pretty cool though, and the screenshots look pretty cool. I guess my first question, does anybody even have one of these Android wearable devices that we know of? I don't know if anybody listening has one of these devices or know of anybody that does, but it's basically it can be supported on wearables now. They've got some more interactive notifications, I guess, that come out, and so Windows Phone has really active interactive notifications anyway, and so now these notifications are happening on some of the other platforms. And then the big thing is that you can share directly into Yammer. So that one's kind of cool. So if you have a photo or a document or something that you would naturally share, you can now share it, natively on the phone into Yammer. So that's kind of a pretty cool feature if you had something in there. I could see that being probably a little bit more useful than the wearable, but um, maybe I'm just old already, and I think that the wearable stuff is a little bit, I don't know. I guess I don't know. We'll see. Maybe my kids will be running around with wearable devices. Yeah, I definitely think it does too. Yeah. I yeah, that's probably one that I need to keep. I have my Microsoft Bands, but it doesn't always end up on my wrist. Um, so I'm very hit and miss with all the wearable devices, I think. So, but very cool. Yammer, I don't think I need on my wrist. Yes, that's a big piece, and I probably need to wear it if I expect to buy any more. Oh, well, that's crazy. So that is our first update. Our next update, this one's actually pretty cool. This is actually an app that is just on the Windows Phone. So this is pretty cool. This is the Windows Lens. So I don't know if you guys are familiar with this one it's called Office Lens. It's not Windows Lens, but it basically is an app on your phone that lets you take a picture of think of a whiteboard or a document or something that's in a meeting, and then it's going to OCR it and drop it into OneNote, which is really cool. And now it's even going to let you do it as a PDF or a PowerPoint into OneNote so that you can reference it later. So if you're somewhere and you want to scan a document or something like that, you can push it as a PDF into a OneNote file. So what it does is it optimizes the screen for the capture to make it very easy. So if you're anything like me, when we're in meetings, we usually have the whiteboard going nuts with all sorts of things, and then we all take pictures of the whiteboard to document it. So this is an app that helps in that type of scenario. So I guess, Mark, you wouldn't even really have any access with this because you don't have the Windows Phone. So you're not really using this one too much, are you? Yeah, so yeah, this one's kind of cool. I like it, but it's another one that it's kind of hit or miss. Like, I don't know that I'd consider this like earth-shattering changes, but I guess it goes to the point that all changes don't necessarily have to be earth-shattering. So these are just some of the small things, and a lot of little changes over time kind of turn a minimally viable product into something that's pretty stinking cool. So you don't want to ignore the small changes along the way, but they're definitely definitely some of them you just look at it and you're like, okay, does that matter? So this week is filled with some of the things with that. Yeah, and it sends it automatically. So when you capture it with Office Lens, it just kind of magically sends it there. So just a productivity tool if you're in a lot of meetings. It is magic. That's the team that works on it is the magic team. I love that one. The other one that we have, the next new update, is the Power Map for Excel. Got updated to where I guess if you had and I don't use this feature too much, but I know a lot of people out there doing a lot of these crazy things with one of these crazy things with Excel, like all the datas and the reports and the heat maps and stuff like that. They've improved it so like your data card that allows you to kind of think of it as the key for how things are going. I guess there were some pretty significant usability issues with that, and so they fixed those to make it a better experience, as well as putting some more power behind the heat map. So those are just some changes that you would notice if you were using Excel and it was updated. It would just be better features would just show up. So I don't know, Mark, are you guys using, I guess in your industry you guys might be using this one a little bit more, or no? Yeah, I don't really much on either. But speaking about all of the changes that are coming with Excel and data and stuff like that, at SP TechCon this week I was talking with John White, and he has agreed to come on the show and be a guest with us 1 week. And we're going to talk about all the new things, but then focus a little bit more on all of the Power BI changes that are coming, since he sits very close to that. So that'll be one thing we can kind of hit him up with all of these different changes and see. I mean, everything in Office 365 is such a big industry that there's still silos of people that focus on one area more than another and just have more experience with it. So very cool. So yeah, John and Jason Himmelstein are two of the big ones. Two of the big ones in that area. So this next one is pretty interesting. I'm going to go ahead and pull up another link that I have that talks about it. This is kind of a big one that I think went under the radar, but is a huge milestone for Office 365, and that's that they have 2 new compliance certifications. One is the HITRUST compliance, which has to do with medical records, and so a lot of people in the healthcare industry have to meet this requirement. And then the other requirement is the ISO 27018 compliance, which is a very interesting compliance certification that they got. And so a lot of people, when they're looking at, can I store my data in the Microsoft Cloud? What am I doing? How do I know it's secure? How do I know what they're doing with their data? And now Microsoft has this certification. So I think it's a step closer into the move of the masses to the cloud. So I still think there's still going to be reasons why you want to stay on-prem, a lot of them around security and compliance, but this kind of opens the door to a new subset of users that can use Office 365 here. So Mark, do you have any thoughts on this one and what this might mean for the future? Mm-hmm. Yep. Yeah. And some of the three key things, some of the three key things that this compliance certification mean for Microsoft is that it basically guarantees that Office 365 is advertising free, so customers don't have to worry about anything that they put in there. Any data that they put in there is used for advertising or marketing purposes. There are defined policies for return, transfer, and secure disposal of PII, which is another huge thing, and that Office 365 will proactively disclose all the identities of subprocessors and vendors that are working there. And so those are some, really big things that they're able to guarantee. And Dan even said in our chat window, what's really awesome about this is Microsoft is one of the first, and it is the first cloud provider to get this standard achievement for privacy. And so they're kind of now trailblazing in the industry about where they can go with compliance and different things along these lines. So I think it's a very interesting announcement that kind of went low-key under the radar, I think. But probably not. Yeah, so very interesting. Yeah, yeah, they're kind of putting their money where their mouth is. They put out that trust center a while ago and started talking about the compliance and different things that they were going after, and since then they've kind of continually have been adding these different certifications and different features. So I think it's a very interesting step in where we're going to see things coming, because if they're able to continually innovate so that we have fresh innovations and fresh new features, but they're also able to meet the compliance standards, that's going to make the cloud a lot more of an appealing opportunity to maybe some organizations right now that are saying, our data just can't go there. It doesn't meet these requirements. So it'll be interesting to see how conversations change with that. So very, very exciting, exciting times with that. So I'm sure they're going to find something. Yeah, it's definitely interesting. And if they're going here with this, where are they going to go next? So I think they're going to keep getting certifications and keep going after, and security is a huge thing for them. But it's definitely something that they're investing in and they're working hard after, and they're trying to make their cloud accessible to the masses. So it's a very interesting, it's very telling to see where they're coming with it. Awesome. Well, just a couple quick more announcements. Most of these have to do with Office and document storage, so are kind of our last four, and then we're going to jump into a conversation that'll be super fun to have with Mr. Rackley here. But Office improvements, and so if you're using Office Online, they have made improvements to just being where you can save as. So if I have more save options when I'm in Office Online, so I'm going to just go to it, I'm going to say save as, and I'm going to have more options. I can save it, I can rename it, I can download a copy. I can also download a copy as a PDF. So there's different changes that you can make when you're in there. What I love about this is that these are just showing up. So every time I'm using Office Online, these features are just improving. So we've got some new proofreading tools. They're putting a little bit of logic Also behind the Getting Started screen based on who you are and what you've been doing and what are your recent things. So your Getting Started screen should start to have all the smarts behind it to go to the most common templates and different things like that. So pretty interesting there. Again, these are small changes that you might notice when you were using it, and you might just totally pass by unless you're like, oh, now there's a Save as a PDF button. So it might not be anything major that you notice, but it might address one of those little pain points that you see when you're going through and doing different things. The other one is Windows 10. So with the Universal Apps, they have the new experience with Office apps and the Touch apps. So next week on our show, next Wednesday, Corey Roth is going to be my guest host. So he's one of my favorite guest hosts. For those of you who do not know, Corey Roth is also my husband. So Corey Roth will be joining, and he's going to be talking about the Windows 10 app experience and what it's like, and we may even have time for him to show off a demo for us. So that's kind of cool. He's been, I think he downloaded it the minute it came out, so he's been playing with that quite a bit. I don't know about you, Mark, but like I'm a little bit afraid of Windows 10. So Corey put it on his Surface, and then he got very angry at his Surface when things stopped working, and he's been keeping it updated and doing things like that. But I've kind of decided I'm not going to put Windows 10 on anything until Corey can use it for a long period of time without me hearing him go, ah, or something like that when something isn't working. So are you running any of the new stuff on 10, or are you kind of back on previous ones? How does one accidentally update an operating system? I don't understand how that can happen. I don't think I've ever accidentally updated my operating system, but whatever. Because we've got a couple of people who've been, yeah, no. So our home help desk is Corey, and I'm going to let him determine when we do a device update. No, that's not true. I don't like to mess with it on my work machine, and I kind of use my Surface for everything, and I can't stand for it to maybe not work. When I'm doing a presentation or something like that. I went to 8 pretty early, but that worked out really well for me. So I think if Corey can get to a point with 10 where he's not totally, having issues to deal with, I'll consider putting it on, but I think I'm going to wait. I'm going to wait till it's a little bit more baked. And I see, so yeah. So, but he's going to come by and show us the office next week. You're going to wait till you get a HoloLens, okay? You can have your wearable on, have a HoloLens, ride your hovercraft. I mean, it is 2015 though, right? Like, isn't this all stuff we were supposed to have from Back to the Future in this year? Yes, so I mean, we'll just have all these pieces. That's kind of awesome. Very fun. Another one that I think is new and fun is that OneNote is even more free. And what I love about that is that they came out with this free version of OneNote that everybody could use, but then they put restricted features on it so that you couldn't use all of the features of the paid OneNote. You could only get a subset of them in the free one. And now they have, based on popular demand, have made all of those features available in the free version. So now there's feature parity between the two versions. And I just think that that's awesome. So the next time they give us something partially for free, let's ride them to death with feedback so they give us all of the features back. Maybe.
Was it by demand? Was it by demand, or was it because they weren't, because Evernote is still taking everybody's attention away?
That's a good point. Yeah, they said it was by demand. I haven't used Evernote a whole lot. I use a lot of OneNote, though. I'm pretty sure my entire life is recorded in 1 or 2 OneNote files across the world. So we kind of run, I think our entire household runs on OneNote. So we're huge OneNote
I have
users
both. Yeah,
here.
I have both, and I prefer OneNote. But then I found a lot of people that are very, even some Microsoft people, they really really like Evernote a lot, and they use it over Evernote. So I found that kind of interesting. One of my guesses the LightScribe pen has really good
Uh-huh.
Evernote integration, so a lot of people will use Evernote because of that. So
Oh, good point. Good point. It'll be interesting to see if the Surface Pen or anything like that ever comes after any type of market with that. So so interesting. So that's another one again that you might notice and you might not notice hitting the market. I think there's just a lot of changes this week that you might notice and you might just totally scan over them. The last one, though, is a pretty big change that came out this morning, and I think it's going to be very interesting, and it's also very telling of where I think Microsoft is going, and that is the native cloud storage integration with the iOS apps. So if you are using one of the iOS apps, you're going to be able to save directly to iCloud. They also have some things where you can save to Box. That's kind of been out for a little bit, but now they have it where you can save to the iCloud. So I think this one is a very interesting play coming from Microsoft here. So do you have any thoughts on this one, Mark, and what this means to, like, it feels like everybody's like they're trying to hold hands and sing Kumbaya with everyone right now.
yeah, I mean, I can see this being a huge plus, especially if you're writing software that needs to integrate and communicate this way. But I wish they would just get OneBox working well. You know, if I had to choose, instead of worrying about connecting to other storage devices, I just want my OneBox
OneBox,
to work well.
is that what you're hitting at? Is OneDrive? Yeah.
OneDrive. Yes. So
Yeah.
reverse, yeah, OneDrive. I'd rather just OneDrive work great than to have all these other storage options, because I would rather, personally, I don't like having that many options when it comes to my storage because it's a mess already. So let's just get one that works great, works well, works on your Macs, and go from there. But I can see the hype. I can see why people like it.
Yeah, I've heard a little bit. There's a it's an interesting mix, because if you're going to give someone a place to save something, they're going to save it there. So now
Absolutely.
we're kind of propagating a problem across to other platforms as well. So it's interesting, but at the same time, if they're going after the mobile first, cloud first world, they have to play nice on other platforms. And I know a lot of people that love their Office apps but love iCloud and love those different things.
Absolutely.
And so kind of is this merging and the best of both worlds. So definitely something to watch. I think it's going to be interesting to see what happens. So we did have a question pop up in the queue that we missed a little bit earlier, and it says, I had heard that the browser of Windows 10 is not going to be IE. So there's been a lot of talk about this. There is going to be a desktop browser IE, but there's also a new browser that they're working on that's going to be a successor to IE. So it's going to be the new IE that's coming out. Yes, Spartan. So I don't really have a lot of details about that. I don't know, Mark, do you know too much about that one? Yeah, that's yeah. I know it's going to come out, and it's supposed to be IE but better, but not really IE. So again, we've got Corey coming next week who's been playing all of this, so we get to put him on the spot and drill him about that and get all those details for what we can find out about that right now. And of course, as we hear new stuff, we'll keep it posted here, because that will be one that impacts our users and what they're trying to do with things. So that kind of wraps up what new announcements have come out, what new but now we get to switch over. I almost put music into the sway that went like dun dun dun, or like very sad like death march music or something like that. because now we get to talk about the cancel
what about my products? Look at mine. Right, absolutely, absolutely. Right, right. Yeah. No, I'm glad it's gone. I've been in too many messes using InfoPath, and I look forward to what they're going to do next. Um, yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah. Awesome. Well, there's a lot of confusion, you know. Yeah, I think there's just a lot of confusion on InfoPath right now, and I think that Sonya's going to answer a lot of questions tomorrow, and hopefully it's just going to calm things down at that point. You know, this is what it is. You know, figure out your form strategy and go on, right?
Items from the updated. What's happening is that the server side, so InfoPath Forms Services, which runs on the server, is what's getting updated and including in 2016. So the InfoPath client is still as dead as it has ever been. It will work, and you can use it against a 2016 site, but you can use it against a 2013 site. You can use it against these, but it's not something. There's not going to be any more evolutions of the client. It's just the fact that the server components are going to stay working on new revs. So thanks for pointing that out, Dan, to make sure that we clarify. It's really on us as we're delivering this message to try to be as clear as we can so that we don't spread more confusion as we're
Oh,
talking through
absolutely.
different things.
Yeah,
Yeah,
agreed.
it's tricky. I started timing things at SP TechCon to see how long it took for forms to get mentioned. my full day session, we made it 7 minutes before someone raised their hand and asked about forms. In the Ask the Experts panel, it took like the first question, and it was actually like Todd Clint brought it up, which was even funnier. And then in the Women in SharePoint luncheon, it was the #1 like first question that got asked. And so I'm kind of laughing now when I go into events, just waiting to time it and see how long is it going to be before someone raises their hand and says, "What do you do with forms?"
Right, and it's a little bit easy. I can see Microsoft kind of punting on it for now too, because there are a lot of options out there. It's not like users don't have options, right? But there's a lot to
Right.
choose from, and they like their free info path that business users can make forms, and that's kind of where the big void is now. So one of the things I'm actually working on is maybe a
Right,
simple user
right.
interface for Form 7, so that you don't have to know your semicolons to use it. So not to let the cat out of the bag, but
So
that's
that would
kind
be
of one of the things
perfect.
I'm
So
playing
Mark,
with.
that's, yeah, you work with me on that one, Mark, and I'll help you because I speak the language of people that are allergic to semicolons. So I can help make you or make that awesome with you. Because there really is an audience out
Nice.
there that just wants to not have to worry about semicolons or syntax. We just don't like it. We're allergic. Yeah, very cool.
I
Well,
totally get
kind
that.
of switching gears one more time. Yeah, I love it. Switching gears one more time, we are going to start to talk about some upcoming events. So I have a couple that I'm going to mention, and then Mark, I'm going to let you close out the show with your crazy Branson
Sure.
extravaganza. But in this sway, and you guys have a link to the sway, I gave it in the chat window, but we've got the Ask Me Anything about InfoPath update with Sonia. And then later this week, I'm doing 2 office hour sessions. So office hour sessions are where you can come into an area just like this and you guys ask questions, and I'm going to just start going through answers, doing demos, different things along those lines to help answer those questions. And so I've got one that's about building solutions using out-of-the-box features, and then I've got one that's about simple dashboards. And so those are some of my most common sessions that I give at different conferences, and so these are post SP TechCon, where we're going to just be answering questions about those topics. So here are all the links you can use in the Sway to register for those, and I would love to see you at any of those. And so you can just either use these links or head over to IT Unity. We've got my latest blog post has links to all of them. You can find all the content different places there. And so kind of wrapping out the show today, Mark, I would love to let everyone know about all things that are SharePoint-alooza.
All right. So SharePoint-alooza. I don't know if anybody listening was at the last conference. Last year, I put together a 2-day SharePoint event in Branson, Missouri, which is strategically located right in the middle of the United States, right? So it's right in the middle for you guys to attend. And actually, it's 30 minutes from my house, which is but it's a 2-day SharePoint event. It used to be a SharePoint Saturday years ago, but I decided to go ahead and upgrade it. What's unique about it is I bring a lot of the speakers from the major SharePoint conferences, right? So Jennifer, you were there, Corey was there, John White, the guy who spoke about BI, was there. A lot of really good top speakers, a lot of really good sessions. And it's in an area of the country that doesn't see a lot of technology conferences too. So it's a nice, fun little area. But in addition to the regular sessions, I brought in live bands to play on this big outdoor stage at night. So it's just a nice. It's in this area called Branson Landing, which is a outdoor walking mall. So there's shops. And
Okay, I wasn't
restaurants,
sure if we
and
lost
piano bar
Mark
we
or
always
if
ended
Mark
up
was
at
just
the end of
slow
the
for
street
me.
there.
So
So
we must have
it's a
lost
great location with great
Mark.
content,
It
and the
must
price
be
is
something about Arkansas. I think
it's
that's what it
almost
is.
free right
So while
now.
we're
There's an
waiting for
early bird
him to
registration
come
going on right
back, see
now.
if he jumps in, I can kind of give you. Um, oh,
If you register before June 1st, it's $25. So it's the content you get from the major conferences. It's a 2-day conference, and it's only $25 if you register before June 1st. So it's the site's being updated with new
hey Mark,
content.
wait. Hey
I
Mark.
believe yes. Did you lose me?
You cut
Oh,
out.
you got.
So we kind of lost. Yeah, we lost your entire spiel. But you got good practice, so
Okay.
now you can just try again.
I did. Okay. All right. Can you hear me now? Am I here?
Yes, now we can hear you.
Yes, you can hear me? Okay.
Yes. Yes.
Um, SharePoint Palooza. Yes. So it's in Branson, Missouri. I did this conference last year, end of last September, and it's in a great time of year where it's nice and cool outside. Great part of the country that if you haven't been before, it's just a very unique space to go. Lots of outdoor shops and restaurants, and there's a piano bar we ended up with every night. And I took this conference that used to be SharePoint Saturday Ozarks, and I turned it into a 2-day event where I'm bringing in a lot of the speakers that you're going to see at SB TechCon, a lot of the speakers you're going to see at like the SharePoint conference, a lot of the people who actually know what they're talking about, and who happen to be friends of mine. So that makes me look smarter too. And they're coming down to Branson to have a good time and teach people about SharePoint. So it's a 2-day event. In addition to the sessions that we do during the day, we do live music outside at night on this big outdoor stage. The cost is really cheap. It's almost free. If you register before June 1st, the fee is only $25 to register for a 2-day conference with some really top-notch talent. Um, you were there. You and Corey were there last year. Would you guys have a good time? You're both coming back this year. In fact, you're both going to be track leads for specific topics. So it's already bigger and better than it was last year. So I'm really looking forward to it. But my first spiel is better. Well, and the other thing about it is it's a very much a community focused event, right? I may be the guy organizing it. Did you listen again? Am I back? Am I here now? Okay. So the other great thing about it is it's very much a community-focused event, right? Even though I might be organizing it, it's all the speakers are very much community-focused experts in their areas, and they really help out and help make it what it is, right? I just happen to be the one kind of begging them to come to Branson, and then it just kind of happens. So I don't really do that much. It's all you guys doing the great work, so I really appreciate it. If that's what it takes, I'll take it. Thanks, Jennifer. Thanks, guys.